Researching popular music in the European socialist countries in 1987, Sabrina Petre-Ramec stated that almost all Yugoslav rock musicians speak English. The reason is very simple. Yugoslav rock has grown and developed under the influence of American and British rock, and no other country comes close in influence. English remains, in this sense, the language of rock. The reality that Ramec observed at the near end of the existence of socialist Yugoslavia is the result of gradual and non-linear development in Yugoslav music industry, which seemed very different 40 years earlier. The gradual acceptance of English as the language of rock in those 40 years went through various processes of mediation through other languages, as well as adaptation, translation, phonetization, and pidginization. These developments in Yugoslav popular music were, among other things, a mark of negotiation of the country's cultural position regarding foreign influences, especially Western ones. Unlike other socialist countries, where the appearance of Anglo-American popular culture was more strictly sanctioned and regarded as an extension of capitalism and imperialism, Yugoslav attitudes towards Western popular culture were more ambiguous. Following the Tito-Stalin split in 1948 and its expulsion from Cominform, Yugoslavia belonged neither to the Eastern nor the Western Bloc during the Cold War period. It therefore represented an intermediary of Western trends for the countries in the Eastern Bloc, being one of the countries to which Eastern European tourists could safely travel and where they could buy otherwise inaccessible Western items like gramophone records bearing Anglo-American popular music. A symbol of this window to the Western popular music trends, for example in Poland, as in Eva Mazierska's research, was Yugoton, the first post-war record factory in Yugoslavia. Yugoton's production of popular music relied on Western songs and genres from the very beginning of its operation in the late 1940s. Out of 365 records which I identified as popular music released between 1949 and 1959, about 105 records, or less than a third, carried original compositions of Yugoslavian authors. Others contained foreign repertoire. Part of that repertoire were licensed reissues, which Yugoslav started producing since 1956, after signing a contract with RCA Victor label. But much more often, foreign music was released as song covers with domestic singers and ensembles, adapted through new arrangements and translated into Serbo-Croatian. In the remainder of this paper, I will attempt to provide explanation for the practice of translating imported popular music, illustrate and analyze its sound results, and detect when and why this practice became obsolete. The practice of translating foreign popular music repertoire was inherited from the previous period when it was still a common occurrence not just in Yugoslavia but globally. In the 1950s, this was still a common way in which a foreign hit would be produced locally. Remarkably, sometimes even when a song was morphologically inseparable from its lyrics, the translation was often chosen instead of the original language. In Yugoton production, one of such examples is the Italian song Papaveri e Papere, Duck and Poppies, translated into Croatian as Patkice I Makovi. The song was first featured at the 1952 Sanremo Festival and was released on Yugoton record in 1955. In Italian, the song is notable for the use of alliteration, a stylistic figure of repeated occurrence of the same consonant for causing comical effect, or sound effect in this case is comical. Also, regardless of the comical sounds and the fact that it was known as a children's song, the lyrics use political allegories, which are likewise completely lost in translation. So we will first listen only to the first verse of the original.
Sunt campo di grano che dirvi non so, un dì Paperina col babbo passò e vide degli alti papaveri al sole brillar e lì si incantò. La papera al papero disse papà, tappare i papaveri come si fa? Non puoi tu pappare i papaveri, disse papà. E aggiunse poi beccando l'insalata, che cosa ci vuoi far, così è la vita? Lo sai che i papaveri sono alti, 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 e tu sei piccolina, e tu sei piccolina. Lo sai che i papaveri sono alti, 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 sei nata Paperina, che cosa ci vuoi far?
На цветном полю, где сонашце ся, sa taticom patkica šetati zna, tu vidjela jednoću zlatnome klasju, gdje carvenstvo je mak. I patkica patka zapita papa, daj reci mi, molim te, reci mi sad, da li moći ću dostići crvene makove kar. A stari patak mudro odgovori, to nećeš jer te mama malom stvori. A dostići makove, to zbilja nije šala, jer ti si tako mala, jer ti si tako mala. I sad si naučila što nikad nisi znala, da dok si tako mala ne možeš brati mak.
A dostići makove, to zbilja nije šala, jer ti si tako mala, jer ti si tako mala. I sad si naučila što dosad nisi znala, da dok si tako mala ne možeš brati mak.
So, as exemplified by Papaveria Papere, within Jugoton's production of that decade, the covers and translations of foreign popular music were not based only on Anglo-American songs, but reflected a much wider field of external cultural influences: Italian, German, Austrian, Russian, Mexican, French, and others. Although many of these cultures, especially those of the neighboring European countries, have a long history of cultural contact with the countries of former Yugoslavia, some of the above-mentioned imports from a broader cultural territory, like Mexican, have been interpreted in literature as offering an alternative to the American sphere of influence during the early socialism, like in Din Vuletic's research. However, it would be wrong to think about the translations of recorded songs as attempts of hiding the song's origin. Not only did the Yugoslav audience have access to the original songs, for example, via foreign radio stations, but the record labels carrying translated songs commonly contained information about the original authors and occasionally titles in original languages. Interestingly, the music arrangers would also sometimes leave subtle hints to the song's cultural origin through the music when it was omitted from the lyrics by translation. In that sense, it is important to recognize a music translation as a process which goes far beyond the issue of translating the lyrics from one standard language to another, and represents a complex form of cultural transfer. Music translation, after Lucille de Blas, involves transfer of, or mediation of some elements of a musical text to enhance its meaning for its intended audience, and can relate to mediating musical content across styles, genres, senses, and cultures. Aside from the verbal translation, we can also easily recognize the changes in the musical content in Papaveria Papere. In the original, the song is accompanied by a dance orchestra common for music festivals of that era, highlighting muted trumpets, which imitates the sound of a duck. Even though similar dance orchestras were a convention for popular music production in Yugoslavia as well, the Croatian version of the song uses accordions and mandolins. The arranger's choice of mandolin as the instrumental symbol of Italian and Mediterranean music, as well as the style of singing in female voices, hint at the original song's cultural background. The music offers a kind of substitution for the cultural context of the verbal aspect of the song. It represents a double translation from Italian to Croatian in lyrics and back to Italian in the musical arrangement. Therefore, appropriation, domestication, or attempt to conceal the song's origin were not the motives for its translation. Returning to Petra Ramet's deduction about English connoting the language of rock, we will now turn to the early Yugoton release of rock and roll records. As the music of the post-war youth, rock and roll started to appear in the United States in the mid-1950s, putting emphasis on straight quiver rhythms as alternative to swing rhythms, and electric guitars gradually replacing wind sections as the leading instrumental parts. The first Yugoton rock and roll records appeared in 1956 and likewise offered two variants: reissues and song covers with domestic interpreters. Consequently, much of the early production of rock and roll appeared as a mediated music style through old-fashioned instrumental arrangements. Even the licensed reissues were sometimes mediated and old-fashioned. For example, Charles Calhoun's Razzle Dazzle was released on Yugoton Records in 1958 in a version by Tullio Mobilia, Italian saxophonist who started his career in early 1940s and whose style largely remained within the swing jazz era. The first domestic rock and roll cover is exemplified by Ivo Robic's rendition of Shake, Rattle and Roll from 1956. It is one of the rare records from that decade sung in original English, which seemingly confirms a previous statement of English as the language of rock. We will listen also just to the first verse of the influential version of Bill Haley and his Comets from 1955, and then Ivo Robic's version.
Get out in that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Get out in that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Well, roll my breakfast, 'cause I'm a hungry man. I said shake, rattle and roll. 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 Well, you never do nothing to save your doggone soul. Well, no.
Now, Yugoton switch.
Get out from that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Get out from that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Well, roll my breakfast, 'cause I'm a hungry man. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. You never do nothing to save your darling soul.
So, although sung in English, this song is still a translation, frequently apostrophized in literature as the first Yugoslav rock and roll record. It is in fact arranged and interpreted in a big band swing style, complete with continuous swing rhythm in drum section and long instrumental solos in the wind section. Additionally, Ivo Robic's mispronunciation of the chorus as "shake, rattle and roll" gives away his unfamiliarity with the English language. Even though the basic music parameters of melody, rhythm, and chord progression based on the 12-bar blues sequence have been retained, the overall impression of the recording is not of an emphatically new music style, but of a new arrangement in an older swing style. If we consider Klaus Kindel's words that interventions, alterations, and manipulations frequently observed in translations of popular music do not occur arbitrarily, seemingly without care for supposedly trivial or worthless musical work, but are shaped by the values and meanings of the socio-cultural environment into which popular music is being transferred, we could offer some observations and possible explanations for the sound of this record. It could be assumed, on the one hand, that possible negative attitudes of communist regimes towards rock and roll music, which was declared more openly problematic in the countries of the Eastern Bloc, while only inappropriate or of lesser artistic value in Yugoslavia, affected softening of its sound. On the other hand, we should recognize that the above example of shake, rattle, and roll is adapted to the musical style with which the arrangers, interpreters, and the broader audience, not necessarily young people, were most acquainted with. After all, early rock and roll did stem from swing jazz, and changes towards the new style, which occurred primarily in collaboration between black and white music scenes in the US, could have easily escaped professional musicians in Eastern Europe. If we take into account that professional ensembles in both radio and record industry produced foreign popular songs in a generally free approach, usually only leaving melody, rhythm, and chord progression relatively intact, the mediated sound of Western popular music on early Yugoslav records becomes not the question of the state cultural politics, but of the established conventions of the musical world. Reconstructing those conventions, we can recognize that even though rock and roll emerged at a time when the phonograph discs had replaced sheet music as the chief medium of dissemination of popular music, the arrangers and performers within the Yugoton record production of the 1950s acted as if this was not the case, since they didn't consider original recordings as the main reference for their translations. The source for the new arrangements within Yugoton could have been popular sheet music from the festivals, which would commonly follow a festival and which offered the notation of the sung melody with chord abbreviations for accompaniment. Usage of such sheet music would explain the differences in the resulting sound of translated songs. However, the literature also provides testimonies that the arrangers had access to original recordings, and that domestic versions of foreign songs have been done primarily by listening to radio records and by sketching melodies and chords by ear. It is not that the arrangers did not take the original recordings into account, but deliberately diverged from that. In that way, their approach towards popular music was almost as towards folklore music, where oral transmission of a song does not imply a fixed version, but allows multiple variants and interpretations. Hence, for imported popular music before the second half of the 20th century, the recording was still not its primary text, to paraphrase Georgina Bor, but just one of the myriads of possible renditions of a song. Concluding her article on translation in the production of contemporary music media, Lucille de Blas discloses a surprising lack of verbal translation in today's music. Unlike the situation in the early popular music production, she explains that the overall poor provision of lyrics translation in the published music leads to the alternative fan-made databases of translations of dubious quality. This is so because the verbal language of popular songs has in the next generation of musicians and audiences become one of the musical parameters, parallel to melody, rhythm, harmony, orchestration, timbre, and others, and following closely to all of those parameters became a standard for cover performances. Ivo Robic's recording of Shake, Rattle, and Roll, sung in English, does signal towards this future development, particularly if we take into account that neither the Yugoslav audience nor the singer were generally acquainted with the language at that time. Observing processes in the localized record production of global popular music can therefore reveal changes in perception of what popular music is, and the emergence of the new era in its production when its primary text would become its recording. Thank you.